At UPM Blandin Paper, safety is our #1 priority. We want to ensure everyone goes home safe. We have developed the Woodyard safety procedures contained in this video to increase safety awareness and prevent accidents. The working woodyard can be a dangerous place, with heavy machinery moving harvested timber being loaded and offloaded, and semi-tractor trailers traveling through. Often, drivers of the log trucks are not familiar with the layout of our woodyard, our scaling process, or safety procedures and expectations. This video is to ensure new drivers, or those who have not been here recently, are aware of the hazards and help them avoid any incidents. These procedures are designed to improve safety, increase awareness, and to standardize safety practices for both truckers delivering timber and for the woodyard employees alike. We'll cover the pulpwood delivery process, from loading in the woods through scaling, unbinding, offloading, to the scaling out and departure from the woodyard. Finally, we'll talk about some courtesy guidelines that should be observed both by truckers and mill personnel. Before arriving at the UPM Blandin Mill, you will need to know your contract number and your site ID, name, or number. Also, communication in the UPM Blandin yard is on CB channel 19. General safety information to be aware of is as follows. High visibility vests or other garments and closed-toed shoes are required at all times, and hard hats are required while in the yard, while outside the vehicle, unless you're in the immediate vicinity of the scale. The yard speed limit is 10 miles per hour, and you must make a complete stop at all stop signs. The woodyard experiences heavy traffic from many users, including mobile equipment, loaders, trucks, and trains. Obey all traffic markings. Slips, trips, and fall hazards are present. Yard areas may be slippery due to wet or icy conditions. Sticks and debris can also create uneven surfaces and tripping hazards. Do not enter the area between the crane and the loading deck. Logs may fall from the loading deck at any time due to the ratchet drive moving logs forward, and no one is allowed within 30 feet of an operating crane. Logging trucks are not permitted between a pile and the transformer station. Dangers in the woodyard include large limited visibility vehicles constantly traveling through the yard area, and log piles create many blind spots for the vehicles traveling through the yard. Logs can fall off from trailers while traveling through the yard. Logs can also fall from the loading decks, or log piles can tip over at any time. The railroad crossings in the woodyard are active. Burlington Northern is active in our woodyard, and crossings do not have stop arms. The loader tires can launch wood a great distance, and the loader has a limited view and may back up at any time. Falling logs can deflect from the reclaim piles to the area outside the reclaim area. Trucks are to be kept in good repair. However, in case of a spill or accidental release of oil or chemicals, these are to be reported to the PGW shift coordinator so they can be cleaned up in a timely manner. The phone number for the PGW shift coordinator is in the scale shack. In case of an emergency, contact Blandin Security at 218-327-6500 to summon the proper resources. If a phone is not available, contact a crane operator. The operator will have a mill radio to make the appropriate call. Safety begins here in the woods. Personal PPE is essential and required by OSHA. A high visibility vest or other garment, sturdy boots, and a hard hat must always be worn while loading your truck. When climbing out of the truck and onto trailers, drivers must always use 3 points of contact to minimize the chance for a slip, trip, or fall. For center mount trailers, the operator must properly adjust downriggers so the trailer is sitting level and properly balanced. For bunk trailers, while being loaded, the driver shall remain in the cab of the truck or in a safe location outside the truck in clear view of the loader operator. No one is allowed to stand on or next to the cab while the trailer is being loaded. Operators loading the trailer should position logs on the trailer neatly and placed in a way that minimizes excessive strain on bunk stakes. Proper position of the logs should extend past the front and rear stakes as evenly as possible on a crib trailer and as centered as possible on a self-loading trailer. After loading the truck and before strapping the load, check for any small log pieces or bark that may dislodge or protrude from the load and remove. Properly secure the load using straps, chains, or cables. Proper strapping or binding techniques are different for each style of trailer. All loads must be properly secured regardless of the haul distance. Before leaving the harvest site, all loads brought to the mill need to be marked with the sale name or number. This includes state, county, federal, private sales, etc. The unique name of the sale must be referenced. Simply indicating PVT or FED is not sufficient, as this does not specify the actual origin of the wood. Accurate markings are essential for Blandin's chain of custody certification and is monitored by Blandin Forestry through the use of cameras at the scale shack. Also, a final walk around is done to make sure everything is okay. Only then can the truck leave safely loaded, strapped, and marked. Once the load settles, the driver should get out and perform another visual check on the strapping or binding of the load. Straps or bindings should be tightened again before proceeding down the road to the mill. Upon arriving at Blandin Paper Company, loaded trucks will travel east on Northwest 3rd Street. Trucks will first approach an electronic gate arm. Drivers must stop and press the access button. The gate will open and remain open for you to drive through. Should you encounter any problems with the gate, call Blandin Security at the number listed on the sign at the gate. Now proceed through the gate and drive 250 feet before coming to a complete stop at a railroad crossing. The driver must look both ways and then proceed to cross the tracks. Log truck drivers arriving at the mill should form a line on the south side of 3rd Avenue to await their turn at the scale. Drivers outside their truck must have high-vis vests or other garments on while on 3rd Street. The truckers are not to proceed past the large sign that states, "Waiting line for logging trucks begins here," until it is their turn to use the scale. Proceed cautiously to the scale when it's your turn. Outbound traffic has the right of way. Blandin primarily uses an unattended scale to scale in logging trucks. Drivers need to know their contract number, sale name or number, and license plate number to scale into the system. A laminated direction sheet is supplied at the computer if needed. Your truck must be completely on the scale. Photographs are taken which allow Blandin to verify the species and quality of the wood delivered, the source of wood, and that the truck was positioned on the scale for an accurate measurement. These photographs are an essential component of Blandin's scale agreement with the state of Minnesota. The scale and Woodyard are also monitored continually by a camera video system, with audits conducted to ensure compliance with safety requirements. Wood is required to meet quality standards set forth in Blandin's Good Wood Guide and in your contract. If assistance is needed, either use the mill radio to ask for help or call the numbers posted on the computer printer. Pull off to one side of the scale when waiting for assistance to let other drivers proceed through the scale. If stick scaling is being conducted, a Blandin scaler will direct you to the west side of the scale. Stick scaling results in additional pedestrian traffic. Proceed slowly. Do not walk in front of trucks unless contact is made with the driver. Once you've scaled in, call on the radio announcing what species you have on your load. The loader operators will instruct you where to go. A map of the yard pile locations is on the board next to the computer. If you are instructed to go to G or J piles, also referred to as on the hill, swing wide enough to avoid hitting the stop sign by the railroad tracks. Come to a complete stop and look both ways before proceeding across the tracks. Then again on the way out, come to a complete stop, look both ways before proceeding across the tracks. Now, After scaling into the unattended scale system, proceed to pile location as directed by the crane operator. Again, there's a yard map posted in the scale shack. Remember, stop at all stop signs, and the speed limit is 10 miles per hour. Hard hats are required while out of the truck in the yard. If your logging truck has a center mount, the boom will need to be swung to the side and knuckled down. Crane operators will not unload a truck unless the boom is knuckled down. Do not approach the crane until the operator has stopped maneuvering the crane and your presence is known via radio or by eye or body contact. Crane operators do monitor CB channel 19. Position the truck alongside the crane. Crane operators will beep their horn when the truck is to stop. Your truck should be 10 feet from the crane. This is to prevent a pinch point between the crane and the truck when the crane rotates during operation. Drivers are to stay in the cab or back a minimum of 30 feet from the load while being unloaded. Crane operators are instructed to stop operation if a person comes within 30 feet of the crane. Do not wander in the yard. Stay focused on your surroundings and on the task at hand. There's a great deal of big equipment traffic in the yard with limited visibility: loaders, cranes, trucks, forklifts, etc. Do not walk along loading decks. The system may start at any time, causing logs to roll and fall. Once trucks have been unloaded, proceed to the sweep-off areas. Yellow blocks on the map in the scale shack note where they are. To minimize traffic interactions, no logging trucks are allowed north of the A pile by the transformer station. Logging trucks are either to make a U-turn on the east end of A pile or use the ring road south of the B pile and railroad tracks. Once your truck has been swept clean, proceed to the scale shack to scale out. Empties have priority at the scale. Only your truck license plate number is needed to scale out. If the system does not recognize your plate number, the plate number may have been entered incorrectly on the way in or out. Please refer to the left-hand computer screen, which displays license plate numbers to compare what you entered on the way in to what you're entering on the way out. Call for assistance on the mill radio or call the phone number listed on the printer if you still have trouble. Again, pull off to the side of the scale when waiting for assistance to let other drivers process through the scale. If your truck has experienced damage due to being unloaded, you must discuss and review with a Blandin supervisor before leaving the site. A request can be made on the mill radio when scaling out. After scaling out, proceed to the railroad tracks on 3rd Street, coming to a complete stop and looking both ways before proceeding to the gate. Push the button for the gate and proceed through the gate after the arm is raised. These Woodyard rules and procedures are designed to improve safety. Your cooperation is appreciated by everyone at Blandin Paper and will help ensure your safety and that of everyone in the yard. Thank you for your attention to these procedures.